What's up, comic book community? My name is Joe, and this is 360 Comics. I apologize for not putting out a Wednesday video this week. I have been so busy getting ready for Super Jersey Comic Expo, which is this Saturday, November 5th in Holmdel, New Jersey. If you're in the area, please swing by, grab some great deals, enter our giveaway, and say hi. It's going to be a really good time. But anyway, let's get into the topic at hand today, which is this book right here, written by Matt Nelson, president of the certified grading company, better known as CGC. We have the official CGC guide to grading comics. It is a nice, thick book with lots of information. We're going to do a brief overview today with a full review coming once I read the whole thing. Stay tuned. Congratulations to Chris Reichert and Gary Woods, who won the last two giveaways. This week's giveaway is this book right here, Man-Thing number 11, the last book in the run. To enter, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment down below. That'll give you one entry, and you can check out our other videos from this week, like them, and leave comments on them for additional entries. And you're gonna want to make sure you turn that notification bell on, because next week we'll be announcing a double giveaway, not just a double giveaway, a double slabbed giveaway. Yep, that's right. I'll be giving away 2 CGC graded comic books as part of next week's, and it's actually going to go until the end of November, so definitely stay tuned for that. You are not going to want to miss out. All right, let's get down to business here. We're talking about this book, the official CGC guide to grading comics. And when this was announced, when I first heard about this book coming out, I'll tell you, I was hopefully skeptical. That's what I want to call it, because, part of me was really hopeful that there was going to be a great comprehensive guide to grading comic books, talking about the different defects and, what knocks things down certain notches and so on and so forth. But also, I was skeptical about the company, providing enough information for me really to be satisfied with purchasing and reading a guide like this. I didn't want it to be, too sky high of an overview, too basic and broad. I wanted a lot of details in there. And I'll tell you guys, this thing is over 350 pages of comic book grading content. And I haven't read it yet. I'm going to. I've paged through it a little bit. I've read a couple little spots here and there. It seems to really deliver. My overall initial reaction is, oh my goodness, the hopefulness in me, it not only has been, it didn't meet expectations. It went beyond expectations. I think from what I've seen so far, it is really, really great. And for the price of just $30, I think that is a very solid buy-in for this valuable tool. Now, that being said, I think that everyone in this community, except for excluding people who just are comic book readers, any sort of collector, investor, seller, speculator even, I think that this book is very important for you. Because even if you don't get books graded yourself, encapsulated, slabbed by CGC or one of the other companies, I think that, being able to tell what grade your book is very, very important, especially if you plan on eventually selling those books. If you're strictly a reader, or, you don't care about the grade of books and you're just buying the lowest grade reader copy possible, that's one thing. But the majority of people in this community, not only collect to read, but also collect for the love of collecting, for the investment value, in order to sell. There's plenty of people that are collectors that do tons of selling to fund the hobby, quite like myself. So I think this book, it's awesome. I might buy a second copy of it so that I can lend it out to people, like I do with some of my trade paperbacks that are my favorites. But anyway, let's get into the content in here. There's in the beginning of this, there's a really cool little forward section and stuff with a history of comic books. So, from a historical point, comic books go back, at this point, more than 100 years. And, even the superheroes that we love, they're coming up on their 100th year anniversary within the next, 16 years until the first appearance of Superman is 100 years old. So, there is a lot of history in that time. So the fact that there's a little section on that, I thought that was really great. And then they get into talking about the deterioration of comic books, different defects that can come up. And they kind of do a brief overview in the beginning of this book with some more details later on. So they talk about that, and then they talk about the information about like CGC's grading scales, as well as conservation and restoration scale. So if you're someone who's into those purple labels or the conserved label, where you take a book that is really low grade and try to improve what it looks like, there is a whole section in that for you. For those of you who are interested in that kind of stuff, definitely check out Jerry the Jitterbug on YouTube. He's got a great channel about restoration and stuff and conservation. But anyway, yeah, there's tons of information on that. And then it goes into like the process of grading, how CGC grades exactly what'll tick down a grade of a book. Because I believe, at least from what I understand, every book starts off at 10. And then they deduct from there. It's not that every book starts off, at a 0 and they go up from there. You take points off based upon different defects that are found. And speaking of the defects, there is an entire section in this book detailing 109. You heard me right. 109 different types of defects. You hear spine ticks and corner blunt and rip and, subscription crease. There's a lot that you hear, rusty staples, on a regular basis, but there are actually 109 different defects to comic books that are recognized by CGC, who, whether you like their company or not, whether you agree with the grading process or not, they are the industry leader. They are the most popular grading company. They grade the most books, and those graded books hold more value than books graded by the other grading companies, even in the same grade. So, I don't want anyone in the comments to be talking about how they don't like CGC, because that's not what this video is about. I'll do a video comparing the companies at some point for sure, but we're just talking about this book today. So not only are the 109 different defects not only listed, but explained with pictures and everything, but there's also 12 different improvements, or I think they use the word enhancements, to comic books that are recognized as well. This was restoration and conservation, and I would assume, color touch, leaf casting, reinforcement with tape. I think those are probably all in there. I'm going to have to kind of take a look at that. Speaking of those purple labels, they do discuss universal blue labels, purple labels for restoration, the qualified green label where the book is incomplete, and of course the yellow labels as well, which are signature series labels that were witnessed by an official CGC witness before being graded and encapsulated. That is all in there. Towards the end of the book is one of the coolest things. They show a specific comic book in every single grade, all the way from NG, not gradable, a page or something like that. Actually, I think they have a page one as well. I think it's PG, if I remember correctly, and cover is CVR. If it's just the cover, but they all start all the way down at the lowest grade, and they go 0.5, 1.0, 1.5, 1.8, all the way up and up and up, all the way to the Gem Mint 10. And the book they use is one of the most coveted books in this hobby, Hulk 181, the first full appearance of Wolverine. It's so cool that they do that. Now, there is no 10.0 in existence. So what I heard from my buddy Alex, who spoke with Matt Nelson about this book, by the way, shout out to Alex for picking me a copy of this up, because I forgot to grab one at Baltimore Comic-Con. But what Matt Nelson said is that Photoshop was used to basically perfect a copy of Hulk 181 to show what it would look like if it was in fact a 10 Gem Mint copy of the book, which, like I said, does not exist as of right now on the CGC census, and probably never will. Speaking of the census, I believe there is a section in there that talks about that as well, basically how many copies of certain books are available in certain grades that have been graded by CGC. Definitely a good thing to know, especially if you're going for, the investment part of it. It's always good to know the supply out there, because supply and demand definitely dictate the value of a lot of collectibles. And at the end of this, something that I am most excited about, honestly, from an entertainment perspective, they have the entire list of all, I believe, 61 different CGC recognized pedigrees. Now, a pedigree is a collection typically of significantly older books. I think all of them are, start at least in the golden age, and they are, they're basically high grade, just really prime specimens of collections. Things that, like the famed Edgar Church collection, the Promise collection, which just came out last year. I believe that is the most recent pedigree that has been recognized by CGC. It has a list of all 61 with details about them. I am super excited to read into that because I am always looking up information online about the different pedigrees and kind of where they came from, because not only is it really interesting to see what comic books were in there, but it's also interesting to hear the stories of what this collector was doing, why this was preserved in such a way. Why did this collector purchase these books to begin with? Why it was so special to them. So I'm very, very excited as a collector myself to read into those stories a little bit more. I can probably name 15 or 20 of the pedigrees off the top of my head, but I certainly don't know the stories of all of them. And like I said, there's 61. Very, very excited. Honestly, like I said, that is probably the thing that I'm most looking forward to in reading this book. I definitely am going to study those 109 defects as well as the grading scales and how to utilize that grading scale in order to hopefully not only hone my skills for my personal collection and acquisition, but also hopefully to be able to give more accurate, approximate grades on books when I'm selling them, because, I really haven't had any complaints from people, that they get a book and say, you said this was probably an 8085. I think it's like a 6. Fortunately, I've been pretty accurate enough that I haven't had any complaints, but you can always get better. You can always get better, a sharper eye, as far as comic books go, just being able to, take a look and decipher kind of what you think this would get. And also, for the books that I do send in myself, I'd like to be accurate on that, because sometimes sending in a book that is going to get, a 9.6, 9.8 is worth it, but even at a 9.4 or 9.2, it's not worth it. Same thing with, buying a raw copy of let's say a Silver Age book. You think it's a 7.0, well, it got a 5.0, and in a 5.0, it's not worth as much as you bought it for. You really want to make sure that you buy things at an appropriate price so you don't end up, losing out if you were a little bit off on the grade. So anyway, that's enough babbling from me. I think this book is going to be great. I definitely give my recommendations on it from someone who hasn't read it yet, but has paged through it enough to kind of realize what is in there. And I definitely want to do a full review of this soon. So let me know in the comments below if that's something that you would like to see and hear about. Shout out to CGC and Matt Nelson for allowing the community to get an inside look at what their company does. But yeah, anyway, I hope you found some value in this video. Like I said, I didn't dive into it specifically, but I certainly will next time we talk about this topic. And hope to see you all at Super Jersey Comic Expo. If you live on the East Coast and you're able to make it out there, it's going to be a really good time. My table's right near Jim Steranko's, so that is definitely awesome. There will be no claim sale tonight because of the event tomorrow, but I might do one on Sunday. I'm thinking about doing one on Sunday. So anyway, that's enough of me babbling. Until next time, turn the page, wash your hands.